welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to dye loopy wool with food dye. Now you can use the exact same method to dye other fabrics or fibres in the same way. They need to be natural fibres, so things like different types of wool, silk, cashmere, mohair. As an example, this is a play silk that I dyed for my kids about 8 years ago, and you can see that it's held onto the colour really well. So dyeing with food dye is actually really good for beginners because they generally have everything they need at home. So if you'd like to give dyeing fibres or fabric a go, dyeing with food dye is a great option. Today I'm going to be dyeing some of my loopy wool. I want to dye it green so I can put it onto my play mat that I made in my last video. Now, the shop that I went to didn't have any green, so I'll be dyeing this undyed loopy wool myself. So all I've got today is I've got some food colouring, this is just from the supermarket. So I've got yellow, green and blue. I also need some vinegar, paper towel. I've got 2 pots which just have cold water, a spoon and tongs. Okay, let's get started. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to add some vinegar. Now this isn't a precise measurement, so I'm just going to do a bit of a glog in that one, a bit of a glug in that one. Okay, as I want both of these to be green, I just like them to be a different colour green. So first I'm going to add a little bit of green. Again, you can tell that I'm not doing any precise measurements here. Now for this one, I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow. Now my spoon is here just to stir it in, and my paper towel is to check sort of what colour it's going to turn out like. Now I can tell that this is going to be a nice lighter green. I'm just going to see what this green looks like just to begin with. Now that one's not too bad. I might just add a bit more dye to that one, and I think I'll be happy with that. Right, now I'm just going to check this colour again. That looks like a nice colour. So I can tell I've got a darker colour here and probably a lighter green there. So what I'm going to do now is open my packet and put some wool in. All stuck together. Now I don't really need much of it. So I'm going to use about this much in the lighter colour and probably maybe a little less than that, maybe about this much in the darker colour. Now all I'm going to do is push it under a little. Then I'm going to put this onto the stove, and what I want to do when it's on the stove is just to heat it. I don't want it to boil, I don't want it to simmer. What I'm going to do is just before I feel it's going to start boiling, I will turn off the heat and then put it to the side. Okay, let's go put them on the stove. Okay, here we are at the stove. All I'm going to do is turn it on. It's not on any particular heat, it's just on. I'm just going to push the wool under the water. Give that a shake. Now push the other wool under the water. I'm just going to let that sit now. I can see that my smaller pot over here is starting to steam, so I'm keeping a very close eye on this to make sure there's no boiling bubbles happening. I really don't want it to get much hotter than that. So my second pot, which had a bit more cold water in it, took a little bit longer to get to this steamy stage, but now I can see the steam coming off it. So I'm going to quickly turn this off, and I'm going to put this one to the side as well. So I'll leave these 2 to the side until they are cold. So that may take a couple of hours. Okay, it's a few hours later, and now my wool is completely cold. As you can tell, I'm wearing rubber gloves because I don't really want to dye my hands green here. So what I'm going to do is take my wool out of the water and put it into a colander. You can go ahead and tip out the rest of your water here. Now, just going to run some cold water over my wool. and squeeze out the excess water. Okay, just sit that there for a moment. I'm going to take my vinegar again, and I've got some clean cold water. Again, just a glug of vinegar into the water. Now I'm just going to take my wool and do a few dunks in here. Just squeeze that out. And then I'm probably going to put this on an oven rack so I can dry it. I've got my cooling tray here, so I'm just going to put my wool onto that so that can dry. Now I'm going to repeat the process with the other pot of wool. Okay, tip it into here, to the side. Just want to run the cold water on this. And the same as before, it's going to go straight into my vinegar water. Turn it around a bit. Now we just squeeze that out. When I was running the water a moment ago, I just need to keep running until the water runs clear. Then I put it into my vinegar water, and now I can put it here to dry. Now I'm going to put that into a sunny place, and that should take a day or so to dry. I just put my wool in front of the window here. So this is the lighter color that I used with the green and the yellow, and this is just the green color. So they'll stay pretty much these colors when they dry. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, show your support by giving it a like. And if you'd like to stay updated with all of my new tutorials, please subscribe.